I'm the host, Liang. Welcome to the TXI Research Institute. In the last episode, we talked about the warmth hidden in the details of Japanese taxis. Automatic doors, the spotless cleanliness, and the drivers' always crisp uniforms. These details make many tourists feel that this is a decent and stable job. But when we peel back this delicate veil and approach those white-haired drivers, we find that behind this job lies too much unknown struggle and perseverance. One driver's seats filled with silver hair walking in Tokyo and Kyoto streets if you hail any taxi. 8 out of 10 drivers are white-haired seniors. This is no coincidence, but the most stark reality of the entire industry. Statistical data from 2021 shows that the average age of Japanese taxi drivers has reached 67. In many bustling areas inside the operating vehicles, sitting there are silver-haired drivers over 70 behind this is Japan's long-standing labor shortage in the early years. The Japanese government encouraged retired seniors to return to society to bring entertainment. The taxi industry, with its relatively friendly entry barrier, became the first choice for many retirees, but gradually, young people became less and less willing to enter this industry. And the age structure of the entire industry became completely unbalanced. In 2008, Japan still had 640 active taxi drivers. By 2023, only about 220,000 were left. In just over a decade, nearly 40% of the drivers left this job. Those who stayed grew older year by year. To fill the growing labor gap, Japan's Ministry of Land Info, Transport and Tourism even relaxed policies twice. First, by allowing individual taxi operations in small cities with populations under 300,000, and later, raising the age limit for individual taxi drivers from 75 to 80. The hands of many elderly drivers holding the steering wheel have already begun to tremble slightly, yet they still sit in the driver's seat on time every day. Not out of passion, but because the pension after retirement is not enough to cover daily expenses. This job has become their final choice to sustain life. Part 2. Seemingly good income. Looking towards the invisible barrier, many people have romantic imaginations about the income of Japanese taxi drivers, thinking that, with the high taxi fares, they can easily live a decent life. But the real income stratification is far more brutal than people think. According to the latest industry data from 2026, the average national monthly income of Japanese taxi drivers is about 330,000 to 570,000 yen. In large cities like Tokyo, it can reach an average of 408,000 yen per month. In the first few months for newcomers, most monthly incomes are only 200,000 to 300,000 yen. After deducting fuel costs and shared maintenance costs of the vehicle, the actual take-home income is even lower than many local ordinary service jobs. Only experienced drivers with 3 to 5 years of service can stably earn a monthly income of 300,000 to 500,000 yen. Those who are fluent in multiple languages, and top drivers specializing in airports and high-end business districts, working more than 14 hours a day, might possibly break through 1 million yen a month. The vast majority of companies use a model of low base salary plus tiered commission. The base salary is mostly around 200,000 yen. Only when the turnover exceeds the agreed threshold can they get a high commission of around 30%. This means the mileage you drive every day and the orders you take directly determine how much money you can make that day. To earn a bit more, many drivers actively choose to work night shifts. The business districts late at night and early morning flights at the airport have order premiums far higher than during the day, but the long-term schedule of reversing day and night gradually eats away at the health of these elderly drivers. The most widely circulated on-day on, on-day off system in the industry sounds like working only 13 days a month, with over 200 days of vacation every year, but behind this leisure, there is a cost. On a working day, you have to be in the car, sitting for over a dozen hours, from the morning rush hour to the late-night dispersal peak, with only a few brief breaks in between. Many drivers, in order not to miss passengers hailing from the roadside, dare not even get out of the car to eat, just sitting in the driver's cabin, eating a cold rice ball. 3. Behind the decent service is a daily life pushed forward by heavy pressure. All the thoughtful details you experience in a Japanese taxi are not the driver's innate qualities, but are polished bit by strict rules. Japan's management of commercial vehicles is almost harsh. A minor inspection every 3 months, a major inspection once a year. Before heading out every day, drivers have to complete over 20 checks, from tire pressure, brakes to every corner inside the car. Hygiene must all pass before they can hit the road. Many drivers, to keep their vehicles forever spotless, still spend over half an hour wiping the interior after finishing work, cleaning the floor mats, even if they have already driven for over a dozen hours that day. Behind these rules is the pressure of continuously declining revenue in the industry. In 2001, the total revenue of Japan's taxi industry was still 1.9338 trillion yen. By 2019, it had dropped to 1.3666 trillion yen. After the pandemic, it plummeted directly to 840.6 billion yen. The total number of passengers went from 1.94 billion passenger trips all the way down to 2020s, have made more and more locals turn to subways and buses. While the influx of ride-hailing services has taken away many young customer groups, the survival space for traditional taxis is being squeezed smaller and smaller. In 2024, Japan's taxi industry welcomed its worst wave of bankruptcies in history. Throughout the year, 82 taxi companies went bankrupt or closed down, surging 30% compared to 2023, setting a record high. The core reason for nearly 40% of these business closures is the inability to recruit drivers. A large number of vehicles are parked in the depots gathering dust, unable to maintain even basic operations. Many established companies that operated for decades have exited one after another. The Nagoya Mainichi Taxi Company, established in 1953 with a debt of 2.083 billion yen, went bankrupt. The Fukuoka Hikari Taxi Company, born in 1917, survived for over 100 years, but in the end still couldn't survive 2024. The continuous rise in fuel prices delivered another heavy blow to the industry. Japan is highly dependent on imported energy, and the price of liquefied petroleum gas rises year after year, causing operating costs to climb continuously. For many drivers, after running a whole day, most of their income is swallowed by fuel costs. In order to grab more orders, many veteran drivers have memorized every alley of the city and the check-in peak hours of every hotel by heart, and even self-taught English and Chinese, just to receive more long-distance orders from foreign tourists. 4. This job is slowly losing its appeal. You might wonder, when many companies offer new hire bonuses and promise monthly incomes of no less than 300,000 yen for young people, why young people are still unwilling to come. First of all, the barrier to entry is demanding enough. To get a Class II commercial driver's license for Japanese taxis, you must first have years of ordinary driving experience, undergo dozens of hours of professional training, become familiar with the road rules of the entire city, and pass layers of exams before taking the job. The whole process is time-consuming and labor-intensive for those who pursue an easy life. For young Japanese people, it is far less hassle than working part-time at a convenience store or cafe. More importantly, the pressure of this job is never just on the road. You must always remain polite and deal with all kinds of passengers. When encountering drunk customers, deliberate difficulties, or complaints, you can only bow and apologize. Sitting in the cab for long hours, lip biting, chronic cervical spine disease is a common ailment for almost all drivers. Many drivers over the age of 70 have long had problems with their knees, having to grit their teeth and move slowly every time they get in and out of the car. In 2024, Japan officially introduced regulations capping the annual overtime for all drivers at 960 hours. This is equivalent to daily overtime, not exceeding 5 hours. This policy, originally meant to protect workers, has made things worse for an already understaffed industry. Many drivers, to avoid going overtime, have to finish their shifts early, which cuts their income significantly. Now, many companies have begun to turn their eyes overseas, opening up the specified skilled worker visa for foreign workers. As long as you have basic Japanese language skills, pass the training, and get the qualification, parents can come to Japan. Initially renting cars for seasons, but even with decent conditions offered, young people willing to enter this industry are still very few. Those white-haired drivers sitting in the cabs, they have seen the streets of Tokyo at 4 a.m., carried families rushing to see cherry blossoms, and heard the secrets of passengers quietly wiping away tears in the back seat. They used decades of time to polish this job into details that warm people's hearts, yet they themselves are trapped in the gradually aging cabs, not knowing how much longer this decent job can last. This is the most real way of survival. For Japanese taxi drivers, the gentleness you feel when you get into the car, behind it are the traces of a group of ordinary people gritting their teeth and persevering in life. The above is the content of this issue of TXI Research Institute. If you want to know more detailed stories of Japan's emerging industries, you can tell me anytime.